गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Last week when we concluded the thought was that a father goes to a school where children are chanting, and when they are chanting he is unable to identify the voice of his son. Why? Because other children's voice is not allowing him to identify that son. So what does he have to do in order to identify? The all other sounds must subside, become quiet, and then he will be able to hear his son. Similarly, so here all the other sounds were the pratibandhas, which were, so even though his son was there chanting, but he was not able to identify him. Similarly is our case. Even though the self is there, we are not able to identify it. Why? To cacophony of sounds going on in our head. Quieten all of them, automatically that which you want to know will be known. It will be revealed automatically. Did he create his son? No, he was already there. In exactly that way. So all the pratibandhas, there are certain obstacles, and these obstacles have to be removed. What is the nature of this pratibandha is explained in the next shloka. Pratibandhosti bhatiti Pratibandhosti bhatiti Vyavahararha vastuni Vyavahararha vastuni Tannirasya viruddhasya tasyotpadanamuchyate. When an existing object which can be known, yet it is hidden from cognition, resulting into opposite knowledge. That is, the object does not exist, and therefore it cannot be known. The hindrance because of which this happens is called as pratibandha or obstacle. So we see in philosophy also, some people say that there is nothing called as self, and some people say there is something called as self. So is it a negative negation that is equal to self, or is it a conscious existence, conscious principle which is the self? So exactly the same way here, as even though the object is existing, yet it is hidden from cognition. Even though the self is existing as our own essential nature, yet it is not available for our cognition. Why? Our attention is on too many things, and therefore we see that withdraw your senses. The yoga says withdraw your senses, withdraw your mind, so that the variety becomes lesser and lesser impactful on the mind, and as a result what is left behind is the self. And what is the opposite knowledge that is created? Because he could not hear his son's voice, so he said, my son is not there. Because you are not able to cognize your own self, because The variety of stimuli that are attracting your attention, so people come to a conclusion there is nothing called self. It is not so. Self is the most immediate nature of yourself. It's most immediate to you. You don't have to go searching for it. So then why am I not cognizing it? Because there is pratibandha, there is obstacle. What is the obstacle? The body identification, the identification with the senses, the identification with the mind, the identification with various concepts that I must realize, etc., etc. Concept can be also at the height of it. Objectification of the self can also be a concept. So all these have to be dropped one by one by one. And that object where the knower-known transaction takes place, in objective perception it is possible to speak in terms of this object is and this object is known. So whenever there is an object, there is a knower, there is a known, and there is a knowing taking place. But what are we talking about? What is the topic on hand? It is the self. The self is, and there is no means by which you can come to know. There is no means by which you can come to know. You don't need any means to exist. You are in spite of everything. You are in spite of everything. In all transactions in the world, asti, bhati, etc. are abundantly present simultaneously. Asti, bhati, every object in the world, there are 5 things that go into it. What are they? Asti means an object is. Bhati means the object is known. Priya, an object is known only for our indulgence or interaction or communication. And then asti, bhati, priya, nama, roop. And the fourth aspect is it has a name, every object will have a name, and roop, every object will have a form. In this, nama, roop, name and form is the world aspect, and asti, bhati, priya, isness, knowingness, and the enjoyment of it. That is the aspect of the consciousness, which is superimposed on the name and form. Every experience, every knowledge is the manifestation of subjective acceptance of an object as is and is known. So, if this subjective aspect is not there, meaning the self is not there, the I is not there, then there is no question of knowing any object in this world. And how do you know the object? Again, as an object is, and I know the object. It is known. So where is this isness which is being given to the object? By the self. So he is seeing himself in that object. He is superimposing that because I am, therefore it is. And I know it. However, an obstacle can obstruct the object from being known. For example, simple thing. I know you. I know you. How do I know you? As Louis. Do I know Louis as the one who loves cats? Do I know Louis as the one who comes to the classes? Do I know Louis as the one who is married? Do I know Louis as who is the mother of her children? Do I know Louis as who is Teresa's friend? Which one do I know? Or do I know Louis as she is? But to know Louis as she is, I must drop all other Louises, isn't it? Because they are not the real ones. The mother Louis is because of the children, the wife Louis is because of the husband. But who is Louis? Then I must drop the Louis who is of having this form. I must drop Louis. Whatever I know about Louis as a person, I have to keep dropping. And then the real Louis will reveal herself. Because now my mind is not cluttered. If you go to any Mahatma, he will never say, tell me your past, tell me your future, then I'll tell you about everything. No. He says, don't tell me about anything. Because if you tell me anything about yourself, then that information will corrupt my mind and I will not be able to guide you 100%. Because that will color my judgment. I will start judging. Maybe he needs this, maybe he doesn't need that. Maybe I should give him this book, maybe I should not give him this. Maybe this sadhana will work or this sadhana will not work. Why is this options coming in his mind? Because now he has got information about you. Yet it is seen, Mahatmas, Baba, so many people came, how many people he knew? But when he said something, it used to happen to them, no? Why? No preconceived notion, no preconceived idea about that person. Is that person good? Is that person bad? Is that person old? Eyes are looking, but nothing. Not the mind is not getting influenced by whatever the stimuli are gathering the information. Nope. Then, if a response has to come out, it will come out. Depending upon how devoted that other person is. If that devotee is calling out, there it is question of healing and everything. And yet so many people were there whom did not want anything, yet Baba blessed them, isn't it? So recognize it this way, that an obstacle can obstruct the object from being known. So what is the obstacle? Now here you are not the, Louis is, in this example, Louis is not the obstacle. Then what is the obstacle? The mother Louis is obstacle, the wife Louis is obstacle, the friend Louis is obstacle, the satsangi Louis is obstacle. All these phantom personalities, they are the obstacles. And once they become quiet, the real Louis is revealed. For example, when the sun is hidden by the clouds, here we saw this example last week, when the sun is hidden by the clouds, we say sun is not there. But the breeze blows it away and the sun reveals. So what was the obstacle there for us to not know the sun's presence? The clouds. Similarly, in this example of Louis and me, the clouds are all the preconceived notions about Louis. And that's not just about Louis, it's about anyone we come across. One person was there and that person was traveling in the train or in the bus. A 24-year-old boy with parents. And he was very childlike. And one young couple was sitting next to them. They looked at him with pity. Poor fellow, what parents must be going through. 24-year-old child, behaving like a child. And then he said, Daddy, look, the clouds are moving with us. Out of the bus or the train. He says, yes, my son. Then he said, look, the trees are running, they're running backwards. That's the feeling you get in the train. And the couple who was listening to this young boy, this youthful boy, speak like this. These are comments made by maybe a 9-year-old, 10, 11-year-old. Then it looks nice, but 24-year-old? Then this couple, they looked at the father. They said, it must be hard to have a son who is still, lost in these things and 24-year-old. They say, yeah, yeah. And when they showed a little bit, right, with the lips and eyes, we are really sorry for you, man, that you have to take care of your 24-year-old like this. He says, no, he is absolutely normal. What do you mean by he is absolutely normal? No, since childhood till today, he was blind. Today only he has got his eyes, and first time he is looking out at the world. See? So their judgment was what? A 24-year-old in front of them, isn't it? What is the truth? So we go through life like this, judging everyone and missing the real point, missing the reality. We are too full of ourselves that he is like this, she is like this is like that is like that, and get caught up in it. Allow the reality to reveal, and that is only possible when samatvam yoga uchyate. Keep your mind equanimous. Do not allow it to run this way or that. Maintain the equanimity, maintain the equanimity. So just like the sun is not created when the clouds move away, similarly the self is not created when the ignorance moves away. Ignorance is what? Ignorance is not Maya. Ignorance is not illusion. What does Jnaneshwar Maharaj say ignorance is? Incomplete knowledge. Thank you. You're just waiting for the first alphabet. Incomplete knowledge. Ignorance is incomplete knowledge. About what? About our own self. And as long as you are thinking through the thoughts, it will be incomplete knowledge. See? So those thoughts, the thought clouds have to be blown away. See? And the sun will reveal. Similarly, this Atma is also covered as if by the clouds of ignorance. They are veiling it, and they need to be blown away. What is the breeze that will blow it away? What is the breeze that will blow away the clouds of ignorance?
Knowledge.
No, I will breathe into my head. No. What is it? The breeze of contemplation. Contemplation. On what? On the self. Breeze of contemplation. The more the mind is single-pointedly contemplating on the truth, all other thoughts will be blown away. All those thoughts which are not conducive to or not helpful for you to in your contemplation, they will just keep dropping away, blown away, same thing. Not only does this ignorance veil the vision of the truth, but it produces contrary knowledge. What is this incomplete knowledge? We are on page 16, verse number 13. Contrary knowledge is what? Because the self is the self is covered by the cloud of ignorance. What is the contrary knowledge? No. Contrary knowledge is I am the body. I am not the self. Because I do not see my son chanting, therefore what is the knowledge? My son is not there. But that till there also it is okay. So we are not able to see the self. So we say self is not there, but then we make that is incomplete knowledge. But then we project. What is the projection? That therefore I am the body. And the drama begins. but creates or produces contrary knowledge, viruddha, such as the fear of extinction of that which is eternal, sat, the fear of deception for that which is of the nature of knowledge, chit, the fear of suffering for that which is of the nature of bliss, ananda. So three fears with regards to Sat Chit Ananda. And when this obstacle is removed, the contrary knowledge caused by it will also go, and the Atma, which is Paramananda Swarup, will be self-effulgently revealing itself to our cognition. Nothing needs to be done. Realization, spirituality, God realization is not about reaching God. God can only reveal himself. Self can only reveal itself. Then what is it about? It is about removing all the obstacles, hindrances which are not allowing you to be yourself, which are not allowing you to see the Lord. But you just now said that you cannot think about God, but yet you must think about the God or the self, but it cannot be thought of. Yes, that is the only way. If you think about what you have to remove, lifetimes will pass away. Because how do you know where to end? How do you know where to end? Things will keep coming out, keep coming out, keep coming out. When do you stop? So the best way is, and you get attached to removing. You will get attached to removing. Oh yeah, I have taken away this also. I have given up this bad habit also. I have given up this idea of the self also. I have given up that idea of the self also. What's next? What's next? Always looking forward. What's next? No. Understand? The easiest and the most effective way is, even though you don't know about the self, you contemplate about the self, and in that contemplation, all unwanted thoughts will be removed. And what remains or what reveals as when everything is removed is the self or the God. What is the nature of this pratibandha which causes such contrary knowledge, and how is this pratibandha got rid of? Tasya hetu samanabhihi, tasya hetu samanabhihi, hara putra dhvani shrutau, hara putra dhvani shrutau, ihanadira vidyaiva, vidyaiva व्यामोहैक निबंधनम, व्यामोहैक निबंधनम. The cause for hiding the voice of the sun is the concealment in the simultaneous chanting by all students. And here in the present topic, that although the Atma is abundantly present, is concealed by intense delusion alone. Intense delusion, intense identification that I am this body only. So just like the other voices were an obstacle, where because of the other voices he was not able to hear his son, so therefore he got deluded into thinking what? That his son is not there. Similarly, the Atma, which is, as it is written here, it is abundantly present, it is of the nature of Satchidananda Swarup, and yet we are not able to know and experience it because of the contrary knowledge. What is the contrary knowledge again? I am the body. I am the body. This is the problem. And this has to be, do whatever. Usually yoga helps. Yoga means pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. This helps in overcoming the body identification. Initially Kundalini helps, Hatha yoga helps. But if that practice is not backed by Vedanta, then it leads to a limited understanding of who you are, so to speak. So they say. The remedy is to remove the obstacle which is veiling the essential nature of ours. So what is this pratibandha? Vyamohaika nibandhanam. So what is moha? Moha is delusion. What is delusion? A confused state of mind. And what is vyamoha? Intense confusion. Intense delusion. Intensely insistent that no, I can't know myself, which is not possible. There is one person, I go to their house, the moment I enter the house, namaskar, chamatkar, hug, and very next moment, today I have this problem, tomorrow I have that problem, yesterday I had this problem, and everything is smilingly they are telling of the problem. That Swamiji, I got a stroke today. I was so busy, I went there, and stroke, heat stroke. I tell them, how you got heat stroke? I was sitting in the car. I said, then why didn't you put the AC on? Oh, by the time I put the AC on, I already got a stroke. Every time I go, complain. Yeah. And so where is their attention? Not on solutions, only on complaints. So where is our attention? Is it only on the obstacles or is it on the solution? Solution is only one. All thoughts must be directed towards the self. Are you thinking of the self in spite of everything, or are you thinking this is difficult, that is difficult? There is one couple living in the back unit. I asked few people, whoever is here, to come over to the satsang if you want to. No. It is beyond our understanding. We are grahasthas. We are married people. It is very difficult for us to do. Then what do? No, we chant Om. How many times you chant Om? Oh, 5 minutes every day. Nothing wrong. I said, have you ever thought that from 21 times to increase it to 54 times? No, we have never thought. But if we increase and then if we get withdrawn from the worldly life, then what will happen? Fear. So they have made spirituality as a way of, as a means to achieve their ends in the worldly life. See? Oh, life, it is very hectic, going to India, going here, working here, this, that, I must chant and do, it's every day, it is important, morning and evening, I do my sadhana. For what? For calming the mind. It is good, no doubt, it is good. For how many years you have been doing that? 30 years you are doing. Is there nothing else you don't want to go next? After 30 years, if you are still thinking the way you thought 30 years ago, you are intelligent people, don't you feel that I am stuck somewhere? That I have done it for 30 years? At job, you want promotions, in 30 years you want to be on the top. In life, in 30 years you were a youth, you got married, you had children, your children are grown up to be 28, 27. There also growth is there. Body also is growing continuously and it has reached a stage where it is catching diseases. Don't you feel that after 30 years in spirituality, or if you call yourself spiritual, that some more understanding than what was there 30 years ago? 30 years ago also same dialogue, now also same dialogue. But we are married, we are not like you, Swamiji. You can't tell anyone anything after that. I said, enjoy. Fear of the unknown. What if something more starts happening? What if God really comes in front of me? Then what will I do? Problem. So Vyamoha is Vishesha Moha, special delusion. And in this way, it is not only that delusion which keeps insisting, which is perpetually there. Arjuna suffered this delusion, Vyamoha, when the war started. Instead of seeing enemy, he started seeing relatives, brothers, cousins, teachers. On a battlefield, there is only enemy. And he was insistent, no, that is that is correct, what I am seeing. And in this way, Vyamoha is a deadly combination of absence of correct perception and the projection of a wrong perception is the one and only obstacle to be removed for the revelation of one's own essential nature. So, do you need to remove the world? Do you need to remove the senses? Do you need to remove the mind and intellect in order to know who you are? No. All you need to do is correct your vision. That's all. And how do you correct the vision? Through understanding. As I said last week, if the convictions change, your vision changes. If your visions change, your performance in the world changes. If your performance change, your experience of the world changes, isn't it? So change your convictions. I know one person, he was with ISKCON for a long time. Many, oh mama, yeah, oh, everywhere, all this. And going on and on and on. And one day he called, Swamiji, this is the thing and I am not understanding what they are telling. Can you explain me this? I explained to him whatever he was asking. Then another time after 1 month or so, again he called. Then after 2 months again he called. And slowly, they used to only say that, no, this is what the Lord has said. And that's it. Lord has said. Don't question Lord. That type of thinking was there. But he was looking for real answers. He wanted to understand. Not just, there is blind belief, yes, but he was not cut out for that. So he wants to study Gita, but he wants to understand. But at every turn, he was told, don't question what Bhagavad Gita is saying. Don't question the Lord. He did it because he did it. And then after a few times, over a year, he kept asking questions. Then he once invited for food. Then he did Havan at his home. He invited me for that. And slowly, he still goes to ISKCON, nothing. But now his hunger to know, the inquiry has kindled. So change your convictions. The point I was making was change your convictions. Once you understand a very, very intellectual person, you keep telling him, hey man, it is not right, there is only one self, there is one without a second, there is no, this, that. He will keep arguing with you, argue with. But because he is an intellectual and you are able to present to him logically the entire theme, somewhere along the line it clicks to him. Because he knows he will not give up till he has worked it out. And once it gets worked out, because he is thinking about it again and again, he thinks he has worked it out, but actually it has been revealed to him. So even the capacity for you people to understand today is not because you have created that capacity. It is because He has granted you that capacity. Why? Because you are continuously on a weekly basis contemplating on the self. And by the grace of the self, the capacity to understand, to understand in the right manner, not the opposite manner, as it said before, not in the contrary manner. I hope it is that way. It is by His grace. It is not your ability. Potential is there. The potential in the fire is, the wood is there to burn, to express as fire. But someone has to invoke that fire from inside it, isn't it? The flute has the potential to give music, but someone has to blow into it in order for music to come out, isn't it? Similarly, the potential in our mind is there, called life, but someone has to infuse it so that that potential can express. And that one who infuses that life into the mind is the Self, the Lord, the Divine. See? है ना मस्त? It's magical. And that is only possible when the flute is thinking of the flute player. Okay? Only then the flute player will come to him. If the mind is thinking of the self, then alone the self will reveal itself, isn't it? Only when the flower will reveal itself, the bees will come to it. To a closed flower called bud, no bee goes. Same way. For your mind to open up and spread its fragrance, it's from inside, not from outside. So let that mind keep thinking about the source. What is the cause of this Vyamoha? Anadi avidya eva. The cause is avidya, ignorance. Since when? It is beginningless, anadi. Ignorance has no beginning for the simple reason that it does not exist. But sir, the self also does not exist. Self also does not have a beginning. It is beginningless. Yes. That which is also beginningless, and that which is not is also beginningless. But that which is continues to be in the present and in the future. Endless. But that which is not there, the moment you come to know that it is not there, it ends. It may be beginningless, but the moment you come to know that it is not, that which is not there, immediately it ends. The ignorance goes away. So in this way, avidya means a combination of two things: non-existence and non-knowledge resulting in wrong knowledge. So contrary perception is, this is how it is formed. Non-existence, that the child is not existing, then non-knowledge, not knowing that the child is there, leading to a conclusion that I don't think my child is there. So what is non-existence? I don't think the self exists. Why? How it is non-knowledge? Oh, because I don't know it. I have not experienced it. Then what is the control? Then I must be only the body. See? Because we are looking for experience. As an individual, we continuously want experience. And that is how we prove that something is or is not. And we apply the same worldly means of knowing, of knower known knowing, the Triputi, for the self also. But the self is self-existing. It cannot be revealed to a Triputi, to a triad, to the knower known knowing. That is not the process of knowing the self. And therefore, we come to a dead end in our contemplation. That I don't think there is anything. I've just been on a wild goose chase for all my life. See? And many people I met, many times I have also come to that conclusion. Many times I have also, in frustration of contemplation, it happens sometimes. Then you give it up and go calm down. You lose the equanimity at that moment. That's when frustration comes. When you are trying too hard to know yourself, that's when the frustration comes. When you are expecting something on the seat of meditation, that's when the frustration comes. The name of the game is just be, just watch, be equanimous, do not react. The Paramatma was also described as beginningless. The difference is that ignorance, which is beginningless, can end at some point, whereas Paramatma never ends. Anadi, he is Anadi. Having said that avidya or ignorance is the cause for non-experience of the Satchitananda nature of this pure I, the teacher goes on to explain the nature of this avidya so that it can be removed. Aparana karana. Now, how this ignorance has enveloped itself? How has this delusion come about? That is being explained. Chidanandamaya Brahma Pratibimba Samanvita Tamo Rajas Sattva Guna Prakritir Dvividha Chasa Dhachasa Prakritir Dvividha Chasa Dvividha Chasa. The Prakriti, the nature, in association with the reflection of Brahman, which is of the nature of conscious bliss, is made up of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas gunas, and is of two types. And what are they? First is Brahma Chidananda Maya. Chidananda is Brahmamaya. There are no limitations in Chit consciousness and Ananda. And Brahman is that which has transcended all limitations of time, space, objectivity and objects, Vyashti, the totality and the individuality, and avidya kam karma also. All conditionings, all limitations he has transcended. Who is this? Is the Brahman. What is his nature? Chidananda. Chidananda is conscious bliss. He is of the nature of conscious bliss. What do we experience in night when we go to sleep? Unconscious bliss. In deep sleep, we experience unconscious bliss. What is Chidananda? Conscious bliss. So if we can duplicate the nature of our mind or our state that we experience in the deep sleep, in the waking state, consciously going to a point where the mind is without any thoughts, automatically the Chidananda will reveal itself. You don't have to do anything. Whether you achieve it through pranayama, whether you achieve it through japa sadhana, whether you achieve it through contemplation, how does it matter? Means is not important. Reaching the goal is important. Pratibimba Samanvita Prakriti. When Prakriti or matter, which is avidya or maya, is associated with the Shuddha Brahma, then the consciousness, the Purusha or Brahman, gets reflected in the Prakriti. The reflection is not to be understood to be like a reflection in the mirror, but more like a person's character. being reflected in in his behavior. Then what is the true nature? What is the nature of this Prakriti? Prakriti is Trigunatmika, it is of the nature of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. See? So what is the first thing is that in the Prakriti, this Chidananda Brahma, Chidananda, the conscious bliss, the Brahman, when it as if reflects in the Prakriti, it is called as Shuddha Brahma. And that Shuddha Brahma, when it reflects in the Prakriti, meaning the nature, at that very moment, the Prakriti is disturbed. Just like you putting a finger in calm waters. The moment you touch a waveless bucket of water or a waveless lake, pond, the moment you touch it, at that very moment a ripple is created, isn't it? So the moment this Shuddha Brahma, the pure conscious bliss, as if gets reflected in this unmanifest what do you call avyakta, in this unmanifest Prakriti, at that very moment first ripple is created, and those ripples are called Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. See? What are we talking about? Don't forget, what are we talking about? What is the new topic that has started just now? What is the nature of this ignorance? We are talking about ignorance now. We are not talking about the self. Self is self-existing. So now we are talking about how this, but then why am I feeling that I am this body? Why am I feeling that there is a totality? Why am I, my mind keeps going into heaven and hell? Why my mind keeps going to that there must be a total person? So the whole is there, has that one without a second reality become total and individual? No. Has that one without a second reality, all pervading reality, has it reflected in the Avyakta? Yes and no. It's as if. How? Have you become mother? Have you become a wife? Have you become a daughter? You have become also, and yet you are not. How have you become a wife? Only with respect to the husband you have become wife. Similarly, with respect to the Prakriti, that conscious bliss principle, Brahman, Shuddha Brahma, is called as Ishvara. Is called as Ishvara. So it's a creationless creation, because there is nothing else except that one reality. There is nothing else except that waters. In that water, as if oceans are created, totality, as if waves are created, individuality. But is that not all water? Yes, it is water. Then why you are calling it ocean and why you are calling it wave? Why don't you call it water? We can call it water, but then how can we demarcate the boundaries? This is the India's area, this is the China's area, this is the Indonesia's area, this is their fishing fields. Others are not allowed to come in. This is where our national border ends here, in the ocean. For that purpose, the oceans are named by different names, isn't it? But actually it is all waters. Does the Shuddha Brahma, does the reality want to get associated with anything else? Does the reality want to get associated with anything else? No. It is complete. It is self-sufficient. It does not want to do anything and does not want to not do anything. But then you said Prakriti came. Yeah, Prakriti came. Ignorance came. If your husband comes and stands in front of you, you didn't ask him to come and stand in front of you. But the moment he comes, won't you start thinking like wife? Did you create your husband? Well, let's not get into that. Huh? But did you call him? No, he just came. And that way, why he? Even if his thought also comes in your mind, immediately you start thinking like a wife, isn't it? So similarly, when it is as if, very very important, as if, when this Shuddha Brahma, as if we say has a desire to know himself or becomes aware of his own potentiality, the moment he becomes aware of his potentiality, he reflects himself in that potentiality, which is not expressed yet. And when that reality, when it is reflecting in that unexpressed potentiality, it is called Ishvara. And what is this potentiality? What is this avidya? What is this maya? It is of the nature of sattva, rajas, tamas. Okay.
Swamiji, if Ishvara and Jiva, if you go by the ocean and wave, ocean really doesn't care anything about the waves because it doesn't really matter.
It includes all the waves.
Yes.
It is all the
It
waves.
is all the waves, but it is not like there's one particular wave that he has to like.
But it is not attached to all the waves.
Yes, but my question is like there are people who keep praying, and is it answered because of their prayer or it was meant to be?
It is by grace. It is by the grace of the Lord. That Lord is what? The wave can only pray to the ocean. Very few waves which are with refined intellect can pray to water. Hey Vindi. Because water is infinite. Infinite cannot be thought. So when we are thinking of, we live in a world of cause and effect. So if I am the effect, there must be a cause. If this world is an effect, there must be a cause, total cause. What is that? Lord. What is that Lord? Oh, Ishvara. What is that Ishvara for a wave? Ocean. See? That's all. But what is the quality of the ocean? Quality of the ocean is it is not attached to the waves, it is not enslaved by the waves, it recognizes all the waves are in me, and yet the ocean knows that its essential nature is water. The wave is not able to come to this conclusion. Does a wave need to go through the whole step-by-step process? That's one of the ways, that first it comes to the ocean and then comes to the water, or the wave there and then can bypass the ocean and come to know the water. When it comes to know the water, automatically all the ocean's knowledge also will come to it. And there and then it will come. See? But important point here is not to analyze too much of this. Ignorance, as much as we get fascinated by this, we must be fascinated by the truth.
Now that question when I asked was asked in total ignorance, that's why.
Meaning,
Meaning I asked as a wave, as an individual, asking for something in this world. So it is under total ignorance that I've asked this question.
No, ठीक है, there is nothing wrong.
Now
You have
I
not asked, the
realize,
mind,
yeah.
mind has asked.
Yeah.
Don't identify with it.
Yeah.
At whatever, this cat doesn't have a brain. It cannot discriminate. Yet, it has a mind, and if it keeps at it, keeps standing in front of me again and again, keeps looking at me, looks at the door, looks at me, looks at the door, looks at me, looks at the door. How long can I ignore her? Eventually I have to give in. Acha bhai, what do you want? See, now she is looking again. Does she want, now question is, does she want food? Does she has pressure? Does she want to go out? And then I try all the three and something clicks for her. Similarly, a devotee, Ram, 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 Ram. God says, "Hey, पीछे पड़ गया." The Lord also is like that. When in our empirical life, when such a animal is able to grasp our attention, bring our attention to it by insistent, by insisting his presence in front of us, we are doing the same by taking the name of the Lord, reminding him, hey, I am here, don't forget me, I am here, I am here, I am here, I am here. And when you ask, in that single pointed mind, instead of asking for the Lord, you ask, oh, may I have a Mercedes Benz? Tathastu, it will come. But then afterwards you realize, man, what did I ask? I had an opportunity. Now I asked for a Mercedes Benz, now I have to pay for the servicing every 6 months. That is more than $2,000. No, I want to sell. I said, now what do you want? BMW. Still our attention is on the world. So whenever we make our mind single pointed, it has got enough potential there. See, she cannot speak to me what she wants, but she gets what she wants. She gets what she wants. If she wants to go out, eventually I'll open the door. Do I know? Does she care that I know or I don't know what she wants? No. She'll keep trying. Sometimes I will grace her with the open door. Sometimes I'll grace her with the food. Similarly is the case. We as a devotee keep remembering the Lord and He graces us. Eventually He has to. There is no question. But question is, do you have the staying power? Do you have the staying power? She has a staying power. She is going around and showing she wants to go out. She has a staying power.
They teach us a lot, don't they?
The whole creation is teaching us all the time. We are not ready to learn. We are not ready to learn.
Swamiji, all our sadhanas, are they to remember the Lord constantly or get rid of the ignorance? You told me it is not that, the last
It is to get rid of the ignorance, but who can get rid of the ignorance? Who can get rid of the ignorance? Can you get rid of the ignorance? You don't even know how deep the hole is. So only Lord can remove the ignorance. And who is the Lord? Here it is being explained. Who is Ishvara? When the Shuddha Brahma reflects in the Prakriti, the unexpressed matter, the unagitated matter, the unfluctuating matter. That is the Ishvara. That is the Shuddha Brahma.
If Prakriti is a manifested consciousness and Purusha is unmanifested consciousness,
You can call it by different words, manifest consciousness and unmanifest. You cannot say Purusha is unmanifest consciousness. Purusha is neither manifest nor manifest. It is always. Then what happens why do we say manifest Purusha? Why is the Lord not manifesting because of what? Is the reality not called as Lord because of the Prakriti? Yes, it is being called. With respect to Prakriti, it is being called. But now, because all this language is being used, don't start taking it to be too real. Don't start taking it to be too real. This whole explanation of Prakriti, of Maya, of ignorance, of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, it is all in the purview of matter. And what is matter? Which essentially does not exist. From absolute standpoint, we are talking. Essentially does not exist. Yet, that is our reality right now. Relative reality. So what the exercise going on right now is, how did this come about? How do we find ourselves to be in this matter orientation at this moment? So they are trying to explain. So that same Ishvara, when he is with respect to Sattva, he is called as Vishnu. With respect to Rajas, he is called as Brahma. With respect to Tamas, he is called as Shiva. But because, now you will say, so do you mean to say that Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are only imaginations? If you are ready to bite the pill, yes. But from a relative standpoint, they are the ultimate reality. From relative standpoint. But does that mean that we should not pray? No, pray. Because Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, all the three know that they are reality. So if you come to Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, you will know the truth also by their grace. Because what did I say? The ocean is not enslaved by the waves, but the ocean includes all the waves, expresses through all the waves, yet is independent of all the waves. And on the other side, it knows that it is the infinite waters. So are these gods. This phenomena will continue. You cannot stop it from happening. Prakriti is Trigunatmika, made up of three gunas. It is also of two types. What are they? Sattva Shuddhya Vishuddhibhyam. Sattva Shuddhya Vishuddhibhyam. Maya Vidye cha te mate. Maya Vidye cha te mate. Maya Bimbo Vashikritya. Maya Bimbo Vashikritya. Tam Syat Sarvajna Ishvaraha. Tam Syat Sarvajna Ishvaraha. Here he says, we are in the 16th verse. When the Prakriti is predominantly Sattva Pradhan, it is called as Maya. With contaminated with Rajas and Tamas, it is called as Avidya. The reflected consciousness keeping the Maya under its control is called the omniscient Lord Ishvara. So now here a bit more explanation is given. What is that? This Prakriti is also of two types. One is Sattva Pradhan, that is when Prakriti, we said, when the Lord reflects in it, the Prakriti vibrates. The first three vibrations are Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. When it is Sattvic, it is called as Maya. Why? Because in Sattva Guna, the agitations are absolutely minimal. But when it is Rajas or Tamas, the agitations increase in their momentum. And therefore, within the Prakriti, there are two. One side is the Sattva and the other side is the Rajas and Tamas. When it is with respect to Maya, it is called as No. When it is with respect to sattva, it is called, the prakriti is called maya, and when it is with respect to rajas and tamas, the prakriti is called as avidya, ignorance. Okay? Ignorance is because of agitation. The moment you become non-agitated, what do you come back to? Unmanifest, isn't it? That unmanifest is possible only at the height of sattva. There are in other texts, sattva, rajas, tamas, all the three are called as avidya only. So these are just different approaches. Sattva Shuddhi Avishuddhi Bhyam. The two types of Prakriti are Shuddha Tat Sattva and Ashuddha Sattva. So, where has Tamas and Rajas come out from? The first wave that is formed is of Sattva. Out of the first wave, the Rajas and Tamas come out. Just like the first wave is of, the cause is the first wave. Out of that, the causal state is the first wave. Out of that, the dream and the waking come out, isn't it? Exactly the same way. What is the causal state? The unmanifest state. The potential is there, but it has not manifested. What is the Rajasic state? That everything is, the potential has manifested, everything is available, but it has not grossified yet. That is the subtle state or the dream state. And what is the gross state or the waking state? That where the what you call, the thoughts, the ideas, the objects, they have taken form. They have become grossified. Sit down. Sit down. When the Techa Maya Vidyamate, when the Chidananda Brahma gets reflected in the Shuddha Prakriti, it results in Maya. When it is reflected in Ashuddha Prakriti, it is called Avidya. So when it is reflecting in the Sattvic aspect of the Prakriti, when it is reflecting there, the Prakriti is known by the name of Maya. When it is reflecting in Rajas and Tamas, which in brackets is equal to impure Prakriti, it is called as, the Prakriti is called as Avidya. Maya Bimba Vashikritya Tam Syat Sarvajna Ishvara. Now Ishvara is defined. When the Prakriti is Sattva Guna Pradhan, and where the three gunas are in a state of equilibrium, it is called Prakriti, Samyavastha. Can you reach Samyavastha from Tamas? No. Can you reach equanimity from agitated state of mind? Not possible. Can you reach equanimous state of mind from a calm mind? Yes, only then it is possible. So from a dull mind, equanimity is not possible. From a agitated or dynamic mind, it is not possible. And from a quiet mind, it is possible. See? So that is being told here. That this Samyavastha, the one who reflects in the unagitated Prakriti, the one who reflects there in the unagitated Prakriti, he is called as Ishvara. Reflects the Chidananda Brahman. That reflected Brahman keeps the Maya in its own control, Vashikritya. That reflection identified with the Maya is called Ishvara. Can Ishvara be not identified with the Maya? I told you already, all the gods You take Brahmaji, you take Vishnu, you take Shiva. Most of the time they are meditating. What are they meditating on? On the self. They are not meditating on their wife. The moment they open their eyes, the wife becomes, some activity begins. I will feed you, let's go for a trip. But all the gods are naturally withdrawn. But the Prakriti, the moment they wake up or they come out of their meditation, out of their contemplation on the self, the wives feel, oh, he's giving me attention, and immediately the children are born, the activity begins, somewhere some good is going on, somewhere something has to be fixed, somewhere wars are going on, and then he has to go and do whatever he has to go do, then again he goes and withdraws. So whenever he comes out, it's only for few moments, but majority of the time he is in meditation. This is how we must be. So when the world invites us or demands our attention, we come out. Do whatever is required to be done. But immediately we withdraw. Immediately. Like right now, look at your mind. At this moment, you are listening to me. As long as you are interested in and some data is coming to you or contemplation is being enjoyed by you, you are listening. But every now and then, your mind is going into comparing this information with some other information, or what you have read in a book, or what you have taught someone, or what you have experienced on the seat of meditation. Suddenly it goes there, and you come back again. For how long you were there? For a minuscule moment. So just like we are in a satsang, and in a satsang you are just going away and coming back. In meditation also, when we say focus on your breath, you are focusing on the breath, and suddenly the mind goes away and you bring it back. Again it goes away, you bring it back. Similarly, the Lord is also in meditation on himself. Every now and then he goes and comes back. He goes only for a minute and comes back and stays with himself for a long period of time. That reflection identified with the Maya is called Ishvara. As a corollary, it follows that Jiva is that same Parabrahma Paramatma coming under the influence of Prakriti, not in equilibrium. The conditioned expression of the Absolute through the relative or individuality is called the Jiva. So who is the Jiva? That consciousness which the Shuddha Brahma, which was reflecting in the Shuddha Sattva, was called Ishvara. That which is reflecting in Avidya, which is Rajas and Tamas, is called as Jiva. See? Is called as Jiva. Think. So what is the way out of this? If you find yourself you are an individual, purify. Come to the sattvic state. What is sattvic state? We are not trying to purify ourselves of thoughts. If that is where your mind is, it's okay. Name of the game is balance your mind. Become equanimous. Become equanimous. Samyavastha, samyavastha, samyavastha. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Again and again in Gita it keeps coming. Remain equanimous. Become non-reactive to the world. Become non-reactive to the situations in life, to the various experiences, to the various stimuli. Remain non-reactionary. That reflection, so this way, we have seen now what the Shuddha Brahman reflecting in Prakriti, when it reflects in Prakriti, that Prakriti gets disturbed, that disturbance or that Prakriti starts expressing as Sattva Rajas Tamas. When that Shuddha Brahma reflects in the Shuddha Sattva, that means unagitated Prakriti, it is called Ishvara. And when it reflects in the agitated Prakriti, which is Rajas and Tamas, it is called as Jiva. Just open the door for her. I think she's pressure. So this is the phenomena which is going on. This is defined in the next shloka. Avidyavashagastvanyaha avidyavashagastvanyaha tadvaichitryadanekadha tadvaichitryadanekadha sakaranashariram syat sakaranashariram syat prajnastatrabhimanavan prajnastatrabhimanavan sakaranashariram syat. Okay, we'll chant again. Avidyavashagastvanyaha avidyavashagastvanyaha tadvaichitryadanekadha tadvaichitryadanekadha sakaranashariram syat sakaranashariram syat prajnastatrabhimanavan prajnastatrabhimanavan. The other, namely the jiva, under the influence of avidya on account of differences of many kinds, are many. This avidya is called causal body. The jiva identified with the causal body is called prajnaha. So causal body is at the two levels. One is the total and the individual, macro and micro. So that here it is told, okay, let's see. The other, namely the jiva, comes under the control of avidya. So who is Ishvara? Who is not under the control of Prakriti. Which Prakriti? Shuddha Prakriti. And who is the jiva? Who is under the control of Prakriti. Which Prakriti? Which expresses as Rajas and Tamas, which is called Ashuddha Prakriti. Impure Prakriti, impure matter. So matter is pure or impure. Impure means the purified matter is Sattva, and impure matter is Rajas and Tamas. Vaichitriyat anekadha, manifests in strangely different ways depending upon which of the three gunas is predominant at any one time. Sattva guna pradhanata may manifest in Deva Yoni, Rajo guna predominance in Manushya Yoni, and Tamo guna dominance in Jada Yoni, etc. Sa karana shariram syat. This avidya or imbalance in the mix of three gunas is called causal body or karana sharira. Abhimana prajnaha. When the jiva gets identified with the ignorance or avidya, it is called prajnaha, one who is extremely ignorant. Thus, when the jiva gets identified with the causal body, it is called prajnaha. So what is prajnaha? What is causal body? No, but what is causal body? Here it's told. Imbalance of the three gunas is called the causal body. Imbalance of the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is called the causal body. And when that conscious principle as if gets identified with this imbalance, it is called prajna, which is the deep sleep state. Out of that, then Rajas and Tamas come out.
But here it says that, does it say that Jiva has predominantly only Rajas and Tamas?
Yeah, but remember, this whole thing is not at the individual level right now. It is only at the totality level. We are only talking about Ishvara Srishti. We are not come to Jeev Srishti yet. We are not come to individual creation yet. We are only talking of total creation. So at the total creation, totality level, when the conscious principle, when the consciousness identifies with the total imbalance, it is called the what do you call it?
Ishvara, with the
It's called the it's called the prajna. It's called the prajna. And then when the jiva gets identified with the ignorance or avidya, it is called prajna, the one who is extremely ignorant. Okay. So till this point is the Ishvara Srishti. He has created the jivas and then he has left. I think so. Till here is the Ishvara Srishti. When avidya is called causal body, the question naturally arises, cause of what? What are the effects of this cause? This is now dealt within the next few shlokas. So till this point, what is the point? That Ishvara and Jiva are created. So how should I say? What is written here? So there is not many jivas. That is what I'm trying to get to. He created one jiva. One jiva is created. There is one total called Ishvara who is reflecting in the Shuddha Prakriti, and there is one jiva who is reflecting in the Ashuddha Prakriti. That's it. So only one jiva is there and one Ishvara is there. But what do we say? What do we say? How many jivas are there? You are one individual, she is one, he is one, you are 7 billion individuals today, isn't it? Now that is not the Ishvara Srishti. That is Jiva Srishti. We have imagined. So till here is what Lord has created. Now what we have created will be told further. Is that now is the summary of this verse, this thought of totality. Just quickly we'll do this and recap again next time. Tama pradhana prakrutehe tad bhogayeshwarajnaya viyat pavanate jombuhu bhuvo bhutani jajnire. For the experience of the jiva, the tamoguna aspect of Prakriti creates by the will of the Ishvara the 5 great elements: space, air, fire, water and earth. So for the enjoyment of this jiva who is prajna, associated with ignorance, from the Prakriti which is predominantly of tamoguna, Ishvara, that is by the Lord's will, the 5 great elements, namely the space, air, fire, water and earth are created. So who creates space, air, fire, water, earth? The Ishvara. Okay? The Ishvara is creating. Now keep the picture in your mind that the 3 are there. This is Sattva, Ishvara is reflecting through this, and through this the Jiva is reflecting. The imbalance of these 3, this fellow is identified with the imbalance of these 3, which is called the prajna, which is the causal state. The imbalance is called the causal state. And that Ishvara, that reality, when it is identified with not Shuddha Sattva but Sattva, it is called as Brahmaji, the maintainer, Vishnu the maintainer. When it is identified with the Rajas, he is called as the Brahmaji, the creator. And when it is identified with the Tamas, he is called as Shiva the destroyer. Then who is this Ishvara? Ishvara is other than the Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. He is other than them. So from Shaivite point of view, he will be Paramashiva. From Vaishnavite's point of view, he will be the Narayana. From Brahma Puran point of view, he will be Brahma. From Ganesh Puran point of view, he will be Ganesha. So this way they have all set up their own idea of Brahman. So to summarize, the total is again that the reality is of the nature of Satchidananda. When it reflects through the Shuddha Brahma, when it reflects through Prakriti, there is a agitation, and the Prakriti then expresses as Sattva Rajas Tamas. Yes, Sattva Rajas Tamas. Consciousness, when it is reflecting through pure Sattva, it is called as Ishvara. When consciousness is expressing through Rajas and Tamas, it is known as Jiva. Jiva identified with the agitation of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, not Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva means almost it's balanced. But when it is not Ishvara, immediately it is Jiva. Jiva is identified with the agitation, And what is that agitation? Then it is known as Prajna. It is identified with Prajna. For this Jiva, the Ishvara, through its tamasic aspect, because he is in control, even though he is reflecting in the Shuddha Sattva, as if through the tamasic aspect of the Maya, of the Prakriti, he produces space, air, fire, water and earth. For what? So that this Jiva can enjoy that. Is it possible? Is it possible for the Jiva to produce space, air, fire, water, earth? No. Meaning, is Brahma able to create space, air, fire, water, earth? No, he cannot. Brahma only takes those 5 great elements and creates the different objects. But he does not create space, air, fire, water, earth. And in this way, and why does he create? So that Jiva can enjoy them.
Why is it under tamas that this is created? And
Because this is gross element. It is solid. It is solid. Out of the rajas, the senses came. Out of the rajas, the senses came. See? It will explain everything, step by step. So right now, the question is not why, because you are asking why ignorance came. There is no answer, it is beginningless. We are just trying to explain what is the nature of this ignorance, how it is affecting our life, where is our place in this ignorance. So that the mind can become quiet. So this whole prakriya, this whole explanation it's one of the ways of putting across. It comes in the Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga goes to some point, but here it is given in this manner. So that, because we are always asking question, why this has happened, from where the sun came, from where the individual came, from where the God came. God must have also come from somewhere. If he has got a form, yes, there must be cause and effect. What is his cause? So this is the methodology employed to understand, so that our mind becomes quiet. Only when the mind becomes quiet, it is possible to be equanimous. Otherwise it is not. So in next class, what is the nature of the subtle body? At the totality level, who is the subtle body Pradhan? Brahmaji. The dream world Pradhan. Total dream world, Brahmaji. Individual dream world, Taijasa. So here it is now specific creation. Till here was general creation. The Lord created the Jiva and Lord created the 5 elements. After that he left. Then Brahmaji started experimenting. So first the Sanat Kumar, then the Narad, then the Manu and Shatrupa, all that story begins. So here what does he do? He uses these 5 great elements and he starts experimenting as an offering to the Lord, as an offering to his source.
So what is the first jiva then that Lord created? Lord created the first jiva.
Ah, that jiva is Brahmaji. He is identified with the disturbance of Sattva Rajas Tamas. Hiranyagarbha, another name. Pran, another name. Purusha, another name. But we have to understand where these words have to be, where they are indicating him. So specific creation is Brahmaji's creation, who is the ultimate jiva. Ishvara's creation is creation of Brahmaji and creation of the elements. That is his creation. And then he goes back into meditation. Then what does Brahmaji do? He takes these 5 great elements and he starts creating the creation as we see it. So we will see.
But if Brahmaji is of the nature of tamas and rajas,
Of the
himself the nature of tamas and rajas, how does he get into sattva?
through meditation. When he goes, that's where the Puranas come in, they tell you the story. He went into the stalk of the lotus flower and he heard 1621 tapas. When he came out, he did tapas and then he realized, what is my purpose? I don't know what is my purpose. So that's told in the story form. So what is the purpose? I must create as an offering to my source. And therefore he is always in balance. We also create every morning, the whole creation. But are we doing every action that we perform in the daytime? Is it an offering to the divine? Like Brahmaji is offering? Or is it an ego trip? Today I am going to achieve this. Today I am going to earn so much. Today I am going to cook this food. Today I am going to do this. Today I am going to do that. It's an individual journey. Whereas Brahmaji is doing everything as an offering to the divine, to his source. Brahmaji's source is Ishvara. Therefore, every time a problem comes, he goes to the boss. He doesn't try to solve because certain things are not in his jurisdiction. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.